Before the Grammy nominations. Before the business empire. Before the world started quoting his interviews like life lessons. There was a man carrying emotional scars most people never fully saw. Because beneath the calm voice, beneath the discipline, beneath the businessman image, Nipsey Hussle was a deeply loyal man trying to build stability in a life surrounded by chaos. And maybe that's why his love story resonated so powerfully with people. It didn't feel fake, didn't feel manufactured, didn't feel like celebrity theater. It felt human, real love, real loyalty, real family, and in modern celebrity culture. That's rare. Love in an environment built on survival. To understand Nipsey's relationships, you first have to understand the environment that shaped him. Growing up in South Central Los Angeles meant growing up inside pressure. Pressure to survive, pressure to stay tough, pressure to never appear vulnerable. In neighborhoods shaped by gang culture and violence, emotional openness can feel dangerous. Many young men learn to hide softness early. But Nipsey was different. Even while deeply connected to street culture, there was always emotional depth beneath his exterior. You could hear it in interviews, see it in his eyes, feel it in his music. He wasn't emotionally numb, he was reflective, and that made his relationships more meaningful than people realized. Early relationships before fame. Before fame transformed his life, Nipsey experienced relationships while still navigating poverty, gang culture, and the grind of trying to become successful. Life during those years was unstable. He was chasing music opportunities, surviving street realities, building reputation, learning business, navigating dangerous environments. That lifestyle naturally complicated romance. Trust wasn't easy, consistency wasn't always possible, and emotional security was difficult in survival mode. Still, people around Nipsey often described him as someone who valued loyalty deeply. He wasn't known for constantly publicizing random relationships for clout. Actually, there was always a certain privacy around his personal life. That mystery made people even more curious about who truly mattered to him emotionally. Why Nipsey approached relationships differently. Unlike many entertainers obsessed with attention, Nipsey often approached relationships with seriousness. He valued trust, loyalty, emotional grounding, peace, stability, and that mindset likely came from the instability he experienced growing up. When someone spends years surrounded by chaos, peace becomes attractive. Not excitement, peace. And eventually, he found that peace in Lauren London. Lauren London, the woman who became his safe place. When Nipsey Hussle and Lauren London became a couple publicly, fans immediately sensed something different. This wasn't a shallow celebrity fling. There was emotional depth between them. Lauren London already carried her own reputation in entertainment. Beautiful, elegant, confident, private. But with Nipsey, people saw another side of her. Calmness, security, emotional connection. And together, they looked balanced. Not loud, not attention hungry, not desperate to perform love for social media. Just genuine. That authenticity became one of the reasons people admired them so deeply. How Nipsey and Lauren first connected. One story frequently associated with their beginning involves Lauren reaching out to purchase copies of Nipsey's famous Crenshaw mixtape. At the time, Nipsey had shocked the music industry by selling limited edition copies for $100 each. What looked crazy to some people actually revealed his marketing genius. Lauren reportedly admired his business mentality, and communication between them eventually evolved into a relationship. And honestly, that beginning perfectly reflected Nipsey's personality. Even romance in his life somehow started through vision, ambition, and entrepreneurship. Why their relationship felt different. Most celebrity relationships feel temporary. Nipsey and Lauren felt rooted. There was maturity in how they moved together. Fans noticed the calm body language, the mutual respect, the emotional comfort, the lack of public drama. And in entertainment culture, silence often says more than noise. They didn't constantly overshare, didn't weaponize social media, didn't seem addicted to public validation. Instead, they looked like two people building a real life together. That's why so many people emotionally invested in them. They represented healthy partnership energy in a culture often dominated by dysfunction. Nipsey's emotional side around Lauren. One fascinating thing about Nipsey was how much softer he appeared around Lauren London. Not weak, not less masculine, just emotionally safe. And that matters, because many men raised in violent environments rarely experience spaces where they can fully relax emotionally. But with Lauren, Nipsey often seemed grounded, centered. You could hear it in interviews, see it during public appearances, feel it in their interactions. There was trust there, and trust is powerful for someone shaped by survival culture. Were they secretly married? Officially, no. Nipsey Hussle and Lauren London never legally married. But emotionally, spiritually, many people viewed them as husband and wife. They built a home together, a family together, emotional security together, long-term plans together, and honestly, paperwork often mattered less than the bond people saw between them. Their relationship carried the energy of permanence. Which is why Nipsey's death felt devastating not only to fans, but to people who believed they were witnessing true lifelong partnership. The meaning of loyalty in Nipsey's life. Loyalty wasn't just a word to Nipsey. It was almost sacred. Growing up around betrayal, gang politics, violence, and instability makes loyalty extremely valuable. And Nipsey carried that mindset into his relationships. He valued consistency, trustworthiness, emotional honesty, standing by people during difficult moments. That's part of why his relationship with Lauren seemed so stable. It wasn't built on hype. It was built on trust. Fatherhood, the role that softened him most. One of the most powerful transformations in Nipsey's life came through fatherhood. Behind the businessman image and street reputation was a man who deeply loved being a father. People close to him often described him as emotionally present with his children. And that's important. Many men provide financially. Fewer provide emotionally. Nipsey tried to do both. Because he understood generational trauma firsthand. And he wanted his children to inherit something different. His daughter, Amani Asghedom. Before Lauren London, Nipsey had a daughter named Amani Asghedom from a previous relationship. Fatherhood changed him. Having a daughter increased his focus on stability, financial growth, legacy, long-term thinking. As his career evolved, Nipsey increasingly talked about ownership and generational wealth. That wasn't accidental. He was thinking like a father, not just an artist. He wanted his children to have opportunities he never had. His son with Lauren, Cross Asghedom. Nipsey and Lauren London later welcomed their son, Cross Asghedom. And fans immediately saw how much joy fatherhood brought him. There's something powerful about seeing a man raised in instability trying intentionally to create stability for his own children. Nipsey genuinely seemed proud of family life. Not performatively, authentically. And that authenticity made people admire him even more. Family life behind the fame. Despite his growing fame, Nipsey often preferred staying connected to real life rather than living entirely inside celebrity culture. He enjoyed family time, business planning, community involvement, fatherhood, home life. That grounded energy separated him from many entertainers. He didn't appear addicted to chaos. Actually, as he matured, he seemed increasingly drawn toward peace, structure, and long-term vision. The tragedy that changed everything. On March 31, 2019, everything collapsed. Nipsey Hussle was murdered outside the Marathon clothing store in Los Angeles. And suddenly, the family life he had been building was shattered. For Lauren London, the pain became public overnight. The woman who had built a future beside him suddenly had to mourn under global attention. And when she later described Nipsey as the love of my life, millions felt the sincerity immediately. Because their connection had always seemed genuine. Not entertainment, not branding, real love. The emotional weight of Lauren London's grief. Lauren's grief hit people deeply because it felt raw and authentic. There was no performance in it. Only heartbreak. She had lost her partner, her protector, her emotional safe place, the father of her child, the future they were building together. And millions mourned alongside her because people had emotionally invested in their love story. Not because it was flashy, but because it felt real. The legacy he left for his children. Although Nipsey's life ended tragically, his children inherited something incredibly powerful. A father whose name became synonymous with purpose. Not just rap fame, purpose. They inherited a legacy tied to discipline, ownership, intelligence, resilience, community empowerment, growth, and perhaps that's the most beautiful part of Nipsey's story. Even after death, he continues guiding people, still teaching, still motivating, still inspiring. The marathon truly continues. Why Nipsey's love story still resonates worldwide. People remember Nipsey Hussle not just because he made music. They remember him because he felt authentic in every area of life. Especially love. His relationship with Lauren London represented mature partnership, emotional trust, loyalty, healing, family, growth after struggle, and in a world filled with temporary connections. Their bond felt timeless. That's why years later, people still talk about them emotionally. Not merely as celebrities, but as two people who genuinely found peace in each other while navigating a chaotic world.